Ferrari in Formula One is doing what it can in a 2024 championship that in some ways is absurd. The Maranello team started strong. It wasn't at the level of Red Bull, but was quite close. And above all, compared to the previous year, the gap towards the reigning world champion team was significantly smaller. The Prancing Horse seemed to have new energy and strength because the track team wasn't making mistakes. Strategy finally didn't seem like a problem, while the SF-24 single-seater hit the track and was immediately balanced, showing an optimal correlation with the simulator. And, to top it off, the updates appeared quick and efficient. All of this lasted until the Monaco Grand Prix, where Charles Leclerc's high point, at home in the streets of the Principality, seemed like a springboard towards glory. In this context, others were certainly not just watching. Despite the fact that Red Bull, cautious and patient, was quite confident in expanding its trophy collection, Ferrari and especially McLaren were threateningly close. The Woking team was quite good technically because the further leap forward made at the Imola circuit clarified one thing: the MCL-38 could fight for race victories if optimized properly. Then, as if that wasn't enough, Mercedes also managed to get things in order. The new pushrod rear suspension baffled the vehicle dynamics department. The same went for the aerodynamics team, who in Formula One couldn't find the correct working point of the floor, a key component for generating clean downforce in this era of wing cars. Then, somewhat suddenly, for the Brackley team, the excessive amount of numbers thrown randomly on the work tables in the factory started to make sense. Just when things were looking good, Ferrari dropped the ball. They lost the technical thread and everything, as they say in these cases, went down the drain. A classic of our times because the scenario just described has unfortunately been accompanying the Maranello team for a long time now. This is the sad truth. Last Sunday, Ferrari secured a podium in the Belgian Grand Prix with Charles Leclerc. A good result considering that the 7.004-kilometer Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, along with Monza, are the two most challenging tracks for the SF-24 single-seater, given the track characteristics and the main weaknesses of the Formula One car. Therefore, starting from pole position and finishing on the third step of the podium, in both cases, thanks to retirements of direct rivals, should still be accepted with some happiness by fans. The analysis of the Belgian Grand Prix for the red team is rather easy to do. The main point is the fact that the pace was clearly not good enough to fight for the race win. The chosen setup wasn't optimal, or rather, it was for what the SF-24 single-seater can offer Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz at the moment, but not enough to bring home the victory. The Ferrari technicians chose to maximize top speeds, aware of its big limitation, namely drag. They did this because on the racing circuit that unfolds through the Ardennes forests, not going fast enough on the straight is far too limiting in terms of overall lap time. The Italian side therefore produced a specific low-drag wing that we will probably see again in September in Italy, at the Temple of Speed. The critical factor concerns exactly this aspect, because maximizing top speeds with a low downforce setup and being easily overtaken by Mercedes and McLaren is not very appealing. Agreed, Max Verstappen stayed behind, but his Red Bull had a medium downforce setup. If he had passed too, it would have been disastrous. Then there's the tire issue. Ferrari has made progress in tire management during the qualifying session. It seems so, even though only Charles Leclerc succeeded in Q3 by optimizing the outlap. On the contrary, his Maranello teammates suffered quite a lot. So we don't know if it's correct to talk about progress or not. Undoubtedly, at least tactically, the choice to use a brand new set of green-banded Pirelli tires in the final qualifying attempt paid off for Charles Leclerc. Therefore, we await further confirmation from this perspective. The same goes for the race, as on hard tires, the red car performed very well in the middle stint, while on the medium tires, it couldn't find the ideal pace. For this reason, Lewis Hamilton easily took the lead on lap 3, able to head the pack without ever being challenged by the Monegasque driver. There is an additional reflection to make regarding the performance of the SF-24 car on hard tires. In the third stint, the cars are lighter, and therefore with progressively less fuel, cornering speeds increase as the need to manage the tires is less. This is a context Ferrari struggled with because bringing more speed into the corners caused the annoying aerodynamic bouncing to resurface. This bouncing limited the performance of the white-banded tires, buried the few remaining hopes of victory, and, along with the other factors mentioned above, contributed to Oscar Piastri's overtake, In Formula One, any action taken is preceded by a very precise motivation, whether right or wrong. Considering that in the top category of motorsport, these decisions are often made in a matter of seconds, more often than one might think. All these actions preceded by the reasons for making the choices are nothing but life in motorsport. Finding a sense in all this is not always easy. The tight timings combined with the difficulties can cause logic to be lost in an instant. Faced with this confusion, releasing stress and taking a moment to pause seems more necessary than ever. This is why the just-started holidays are useful. The time to relax the brain has arrived. The last consideration of this video concerns the updates. According to our information, Ferrari has been working for some time to produce further updates. It remains to be seen how and in which area of the car. In this case, the news concerns the timing. Apparently, the goal is to present some updates at the resumption of the 2024 Formula One Championship, at the Dutch Grand Prix to be precise, which could, hopefully, improve the performance of the SF-24 car. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur confirmed that the Italian side is pushing like hell to get its lingering high-speed bouncing problem under control. Ferrari's bouncing in high-speed corners was an unwanted side effect of the new floor introduced at the Circuit de Catalunya in the Spanish Grand Prix. After back-to-back tests in Silverstone, the Maranello team applied temporary fixes that alleviated the problem, but it is still seeking a permanent solution after the summer break. While the issue was less pronounced at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, especially until the final stint of the Belgian Grand Prix, it is set to reappear at the high downforce swoops of Zandvoort, unless Ferrari can roll out a solution for the Dutch Grand Prix immediately after the mandatory 2-week summer shutdown. After last Sunday's Belgian Grand Prix, where the bouncing issue reappeared with lighter fuel loads, Frédéric Vasseur stated that fixing the bouncing is a step in performance and assured that they were pushing hard to bring a solution as soon as possible. The French manager mentioned that simulating the bouncing was quite impossible because it could appear or disappear from session to session depending on factors like wind direction, indicating that they were all on the edge of this problem. At the same time, Frédéric Vasseur indicated that with all teams finding it increasingly difficult to bring significant gains to their 2024 Formula One cars, Ferrari has to keep taking chances with its aerodynamic upgrades due to the massive difference every tenth of performance can make in the pecking order. He mentioned that they have some metrics to predict if they will be in a better shape or not, but they are also driven by the potential performance gains from adding a bit more downforce. He acknowledged that while they have made a huge step forward, so has everyone else, noting that they are developing much closer to the limit. Consequently, they are always playing with the bouncing issue to stay competitive, and if they overshoot, they have to take a step back.